Welcome to CARDESIGN.ACADEMY. Today I'm going to show you the wheels. One of the most important details on any vehicle, in this case my Mercedes SL Concept, along with this matching aerial vehicle. Today I'm going to design a set of wheels, and I'm going to show you the key tools. And we're going to start with the tires that are shown here in the chassis layer. Now these are just a template. You can't grab these, you can't do anything with these. They're just there as part of the rig chassis to give you dimension and package. So we're going to have to create a new set of wheels and tires based on the chassis layer here. What I can do is create a new wheel layer, and I'm going to use my revolve tool. So revolve, as you can see, revolve is a simple tool that just allows you to create a revolved shape along an axis. So in this case, it's set to the x-axis. I want to switch that to the y-axis. The way to do that is to using the trigger on the left controller, pulling it very lightly, just sort of halfway. You can aim the axis in any direction, but as you approach the y-axis, it'll snap and turn red. So you can see it's turning red now. It's now on the y-axis. And I've positioned it as close as I can to the center of the tire. We'll get that as close as we can, and then I can just simply revolve a tire section around that chassis layer. Then I can go in and edit the points. You can see I have a full set of points to edit. I'm going to simplify the points a bit, and then I'm going to also just bring the back surface all the way to the center. So it's an enclosed shape, that way you won't see through it. You can see it's a slightly misaligned from the chassis, so I'm just going to bring it down a little bit. And I'm just going to adjust the tire section by adding and removing points as needed. You see I get a high degree of precision in the tire section. And I think I'm going to go a little bit lower profile on the tire section here. And perhaps just add a little bit of sectioning just to give the tire a little bit of more of a realistic and refined look. So that looks pretty close. So now I can turn off my chassis layer. And then what I'll do is I'll just continue this tire section on into the rim. So now I have a very realistic looking tire. I'm going to keep it a kind of a lighter shade for now, just so it's easy to see and easy to read. Now let's talk about the wheel. Now we have some really interesting tools we can use. So first of all, I'm gonna pick a more reflective shader here, and I'm going to revolve a kind of a dished rim section here. You can make it whatever section you want, but I'm just going to give it this sort of dished rim section. And again, it's slightly misaligned from the actual center, so I'm going to bring it out a little bit and bring it down. Just overlaps the tire face a little bit. We have a nice sort of dished rim section. Okay. So another thing I might do is just in the back of the wheel here is just to draw a disc brake. And I'll just give that kind of a light gray shade here. I'm going to simplify the points a little bit, and I'm just going to give that some thickness. Same thing here. And then I can also give it a, I'm just going to close out that hole. And then I can give that closeout shape a flat black shader. So it's really dark in there. So I'm going to go ahead and give this tire a darker finish using the clay material. Just a nice sort of, it's a soft enough shader that it doesn't look like a hard reflection, but it still gives you some light and shadow. So that looks pretty good to the body. Now let's talk about the spokes. Spokes are a lot of fun. I am going to take this opportunity to try and recenter this axis a little bit. And then there's a couple of different tools you can use. If you want a more of a solid spoke looking, you can use the volume tool. And I'm going to go back to my metallic shader. Volume is a really interesting tool. You can see what it gives you, these really interesting faceted shapes. And depending on how big or small the brush size is, you can get these really sharp edges too. So what I like to do is use what's called Polar Symmetry. So Polar Symmetry is a setting in a lot of these brushes, which allows you to set the number of repetitions around an axis. So I'm going to turn on to 5 spokes. I'll start with 5 spokes, and you can see that axis, that center axis, reappeared. So now I can go in and add some spokes. You can see I get some very interesting shapes. And depending on how I want the spokes to interact with the wheel, now I can go in and edit these points. Let's simplify it a little bit. So that's sort of like a classic 5-spoke wheel design. But given that this is a luxury car, I think I want to give it more spokes. In fact, I'm thinking about this aerial vehicle and the fact that it's going to have these 4 propellers, and maybe I want to give this thing more of like a look of a turbine blade. So if I change the Polar Symmetry setting, you can see it'll automatically update 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, up to 12 spokes. So you can see that gives you a very different impression, much more like that of a luxury car. So given that there's 12 spokes, I'm gonna change the sectioning a little bit. But yeah, it gives you this real turbine blade kind of look. I can even delete some of the points just to give it, a little bit more simplicity and give it more depth. That's starting to look pretty interesting. And I'm just going to keep working on getting this spoke as flush to the rim section as possible. So, perhaps I want to put a little bit of a Mercedes logo in the center there. So what I'll do is go back to my revolve tool. And just go right in here. Create the outer ring. What's cool is that it's using the same axis as the Polar Symmetry, so I'm getting a perfect repetition. So I'm going to just duplicate this shape, give it a darker finish, and extend it all the way back. And just bring it up against that outer trim ring so you can see it just kind of closes out that center. Then in going back to my going back to my volume tool in my brighter finish, I can go in and, oh yeah, and then I need to change my polar symmetry to 3. And then I can given that this thing is so small, I'm going to probably just not worry about it being perfect. But just to give it that faceted look. You can see every edit I make is being repeated. You can see it gives you quite a nice, very quick representation of the 3-pointed star. So that's a pretty nice wheel. I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and group it. And then I'm going to duplicate it and send it back to the rear. Make sure it's aligned nicely with the rear wheel. The rear wheel well. Bring it out just a little bit versus the front. And there you have a very nice, very quick wheel design. And you can iterate wheels all day long. And you can generate tons of quick wheel ideas. It's really a lot of fun. So thanks for watching. In the next video, we're going to talk about door cut lines. And I've got a really nice little trick for drawing cut lines on the vehicle. I'm going to show you how I do that. So thanks for watching CARDESIGN.ACADEMY. I'll catch you next time.